let's just step back here and think about it, all right? You probably forgot. This is a week that began with the president saying this.
I never worked for Russia, and you know that answer better than anybody. I never worked for Russia.
Okay, that was just on Monday, everyone. And it was just 2 days ago that the president's lawyer said this to my colleague, Chris.
I never said there was no collusion between the campaign or between people in the campaign.
Yes,
I have no idea if I have not. I said the President of the United States.
And then spent the entire next day walking that back. And of course, the shutdown is still continuing with no end in sight. Hundreds of thousands of Americans not getting paid. That, as the president, is escalating his feud with the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, after he abruptly denied her a military plane for her trip to Afghanistan with a congressional delegation, which I should point out is her job. He told her she could always fly commercial, and she quietly made plans to do just that. By the way, hold the prompter there. The Speaker of the House is second in line to the president. After 9/11, there's a reason why the Speaker isn't supposed to fly commercial. It has to do with national security and the safety of this country. I digress. Then the White House blew up that plan by, she says, leaking the details of the delegation's commercial plane travel.
We had the prerogative to travel commercially, and we made plans to do that until the administration then leaked that we were traveling commercially, and that endangers. We weren't going to go because we had a report from Afghanistan that the president outing our trip had made the scene on the ground much more dangerous because it's just a signal to the bad actors that were coming.
By the way, I have to do a hat tip. Honestly, give credit where credit is due. I have to give a hat tip to my friend Lawrence O'Donnell over at MSNBC, who made that perfectly clear about after 9/11 why the Speaker of the House does not fly commercial. Thank you, Lawrence. I appreciate that. This is serious stuff. The White House denying they put the safety of a congressional delegation at risk. But I want you to look at the facts here. The president announced the details of that trip. He openly suggested the delegation could fly commercial to a war zone. That is putting all of them at risk. And why? You know why. It's all about the president's wall. The reason for the longest government shutdown in our history.
The president did not want Speaker Pelosi to leave the country is because if she did, it would all but guarantee the fact that the negotiations couldn't take place over the weekend.
So who is being hurt the worst by the shutdown? Now just hours away from entering day 29. It's almost a month. I think it's fair to say you can just say it's a month, right? Polls show a majority of Americans, the majority of America, well, they blame the president for all of this. Some of his advisors worrying that as things get worse for unpaid workers, the president could lose even more support. And things are getting worse. They are getting worse. Top TSA management has told officials at airports around the country not to make details public about how many screeners are missing work in the shutdown. That is according to an internal email obtained by CNN. The Association of Assistant U.S. Attorneys says the shutdown is affecting criminal cases, with investigations and grand jury panels slowing down as, quote, perpetrators remain at large. And furloughed workers, people with jobs, are lining up for food donations. The former President George W. Bush delivered pizzas today to his Secret Service detail. Yes, even the people who protect our president and former presidents are going without pay. The former president putting out a statement saying, quote, it's time for leaders on both sides to put politics aside, come together, and end this shutdown. While House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer says this.
This is a shutdown that's the longest in history. It's the dumbest in history, and it may well be the most damaging in history.
And as the shutdown is getting closer to grinding into its 29th day, the president says he is making what he calls a major announcement concerning the humanitarian crisis on our southern border and the shutdown in a speech tomorrow afternoon. It's at 3. It's from the White House. He says he'll offer a proposal to end the shutdown. but without giving in on the wall. So it remains to be seen whether that's another presidential stunt related to the wall or a substantive announcement. It's always a question with this administration. Is it a stunt or is it substantive? And on a day when the president found himself in the White House partially emptied out by the shutdown, he seized on a conservative newspaper report, itself with very vague sourcing, that prayer rugs have been found at the border. A racist innuendo that Muslims are sneaking across the border, that's literally a plot point from an action movie. When he says that Muslims are asleep, what is that saying? Oh, terrorists. We're going to get into all of those stories tonight. Lots to talk about, including our breaking news that Robert Mueller's office is disputing the BuzzFeed report that President Trump directed Michael Cohen to lie to Congress. We're going to dig into it with Josh Campbell, Harry Litman, and Ryan Lissa.